Welcome to the Moms Make Money podcast. I'm your host, Jenny. I'm the owner of Moms Make Money Collective, a podcast and visibility strategist and mom of two. Many moms feel like we need to sacrifice our careers for our children, but I wholeheartedly believe that we can have a thriving business and family at the same time. In this podcast, we're going to be diving into the ins and outs of running a business as a mom and getting real and raw about all things parenting. So buckle up because we're about to go all in. Hi there. Welcome to the very first episode of the Moms Make Money podcast. I'm so excited that you're here. Today, I'm just going to be sharing the story behind starting this podcast and this brand in general, and really how it came to be. So, first, I wanted to give you a brief synopsis of my business and how that came about. So, my business started back in 2016, right before I got married, and long before my husband and I were even really thinking about having children. So, I started my business in the summer of 2016 while I was in the middle of planning a wedding, getting my master's degree, and also working a full time job as a marketing assistant. And I know that sounds like my plate was already full, but at the time, my husband was working full time and then he was also getting his MBA and taking in person classes at night. So I had free time most nights after I got home from my job, and I ended up starting a business on top of all the other things I was doing. And the reason I started my business in the first place is because I knew that I wanted to have kids someday. And I saw how challenging it was for my coworkers to manage their corporate job on top of taking care of their kids. And, as women, they were typically the primary caregiver, even though they were working full time outside the home. So I knew I didn't want that in the long term. So I ended up going full time with my business in January of 2017. And I worked to set up my business so that it would be able to support the lifestyle that I wanted when I had kids in the future. So I worked and did everything I needed to do from January 2017, until I got pregnant in 2019. I found out in October of 2019 that I was pregnant with my first child. And then my son was born in June of 2020 in the midst of the pandemic. So here we are 3 years later, and I'm about 3 months away from welcoming my second child into the world. So yeah, it's definitely been quite the journey here. But like I mentioned before, I've been a mom since June of 2020, so over 3 years now. And while I'm definitely no parenting expert by any means, I feel like I've definitely learned a thing or two about running a successful business as a mom, especially because I have experience running my business with and without kids. I know a lot of moms start their businesses after they have kids, which is totally fine. But I had, the experience of having all the time in the world to run my business pre-kids. And I'm sure you already know this, but as a mom with a business, you have to be a lot more strategic with your time than you would if you didn't have kids, especially if you're only able to work during naps and nighttime, or you otherwise have relatively limited childcare, like 1 or 2 days a week. But essentially, my goal with the Moms Make Money podcast and the Moms Make Money collective brand in general is to empower moms to pursue their own career passions outside of raising their babies without having to work full-time jobs in the corporate world. Because, I feel like that is so limiting sometimes because we don't have the flexibility that we would have for ourselves in terms of schedule. Because, you get 2 weeks or maybe even 4 weeks, but that's pretty much it. And if your kid is sick, you have to take vacation time. You're not having the luxury of being able to just say, okay, my kid's sick. Like, let's put my client work on hold for the afternoon and I'll, do it later. Essentially, you can't really do that in a corporate job. But with this podcast, we're really going to be diving deep into all things running a business as a mom and also diving into different motherhood topics that will help you along your parenting journey, because I feel like that's important to know too. Like, if you're struggling with potty training your child or you're struggling with your child sleeping, you're not going to be able to show up as the best, your best self in your business because you are dealing with all this stuff personally. So we're going to talk about not just business topics, but also motherhood topics, because I think that's really important to cover as well. And having a mix of those is going to serve you better than just talking all about business. So I'm really excited to dive into that and learn a lot from these experts that I'm bringing on the show. And those will be coming very, very soon. My first couple episodes are definitely going to be more solo oriented episodes, but eventually I will have more guests and probably do like one solo a week. A month, one solo a month once I start bringing on those guests. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to talk to other moms who have expertise that are different than mine and, other parenting experts too, because I'm definitely not a parenting expert by any means. So I always love learning from others and I hope you really enjoy it too. But yeah, in the next episode, I'm really going to be diving deeper into my story because I kind of briefly went through it right now, but nowhere near as depth as I'm going to be going in episode 2. But we're going to be talking about going from being a burnt out social media manager to a thriving podcast agency owner as a soon to be mom of 2. So stay tuned for that and cannot wait to see you in that episode. If you're enjoying the show so far, make sure to let me know over on Instagram. My handle is Moms Make Money Collective. You can also leave me a rating and review if you are listening on Apple Podcasts. I would love to, read those, and it just makes you feel like you're not talking into a silo, which is really, really encouraging when you're starting your podcast and even as you're continuing to grow. So I would love to hear from you guys about, if you're enjoying the show so far and, if you have anything that you're looking forward to hearing about, I would love to send me suggestions. So send me a DM on Instagram with different things that you want to hear and things like that. But yeah, I will see you guys in episode 2. All right, bye. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'd love it if you would head on over to our free Facebook group called Moms Make Money Collective to connect with us further. If you're more of an Instagram fan, make sure you're following us on Instagram at Moms Make Money Collective. If you're loving the show, make sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcast. Your feedback means the absolute world to us. We'll see you in the next episode.